see the scars? We're living in the shadows. In a world that's torn apart, can't you see the scars? We're living in the shadows, forgetting who we are. The lines drawn in the sand, left or right, where do you stand? But what about the heart, the soul, the human hand? We're drowning in the noise, the chaos and the fight, lost in all the colors, forgetting black and white. Why do we have to choose? Why can't we just be defined by our character, not our identity? Are you listening? Can you hear the call? We're more than just the labels, we're human after all. Are you listening? Can you feel the pain? Let's break down the barriers that love remain. We've built up these walls, but they're crumbling inside. Divided by the labels, we're human after all. What happened to compassion, to kindness, to grace? All we see is gender and the color of a face. We're drowning in the noise, the chaos and the fight, lost in all the colors, forgetting black and white. Why do we have to choose? Why can't we just be defined by our character, not our identity? Are you listening? Can you hear the call? We're more than just the labels, we're human after all. Are you listening? Can you feel the pain? Let's break down the barriers that love remain. Are you listening? Can you feel the pain? Let's break down the barriers that love remain. We're drowned in the noise, the chaos and the fight, lost in all the colors, forgetting black and white. Why do we have to choose? Why can't we just be defined by our character, not our identity? Are you listening? Can you hear the call? We're more than just the labels, we're human after all. Are you listening? Can you feel the pain? Let's break down the barriers that love remain. Are you listening? Can you feel the pain? Let's break down the barriers that love remain. Are you listening? Can you hear the call? We're more than just the labels, we're human after all. Are you listening? Can you feel the pain? Let's break down the barriers that love remain. Are you listening? Are you listening? Let's find our humanity, let love be the king. Are you listening? Are you listening? Together we can change, let freedom ring. Are you listening?
You're listening to the Rebel Nation.
Streaming to the world with two different perspectives.
Join Gunny, Rebel, and their guest on X, Rumble, and for those on the go, Station Head.
Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Coffee break. How y'all doing? Welcome to you always gotta love technical difficulties. Forgot to shut off all the auto switches. What is happening? How y'all doing? Welcome to Thursday, October. I wish it was October. Let's see. It's August 15th, 2024. We're just a few days away from finding out where the country goes. But anyways, we've got a few breaking news stories since I've set this up this morning. It's kind of crazy. So how's everybody? Hope everybody's doing good. This is something new I'm going to try to do every weekday around 10 o'clock. Hope you guys are doing good. If you guys want to jump in and get part of the conversation, just let me know. DM me on Twitter or X. I still can't get used to it. Can anybody else get used to saying X yet? I mean, I know it's been it's been over a year now since it's been X, but still can't get away from calling it Twitter. If y'all don't know who I am, my name is Rebel. We do a list of podcasts. Right now we're focused more on what's going on in the world. So I appreciate everybody hanging out. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys go over to our locals channel. And become a member over there. We're gonna start doing some cool stuff over there. But I hope you all doing good. Thank you guys for hanging out. I don't know. I don't think you can click links in Twitter or in X yet, but there's the link for that. And if you guys are on Rumble, all you got to do is click the little join button, and it'll take you right straight to the locals page. Join the underground, become a rebel. Hopefully someday soon we'll get this going and get big enough to actually do something. Anyways, jumping on into the stories for this morning. Like I said, coffee break, whatever you guys use for coffee break. I use Red Bulls. I'm not sponsored by Red Bull, but if you want to sponsor me, I would love to be sponsored. It was a crazy, crazy few hours since I've been up. Like I said, a couple of breaking stories. They made some arrests. They have made some arrests in the Matthew Perry case. If you guys don't remember that, they did change it from a suicide to a murder or a homicide. So there has been several people arrested. Multiple people have been arrested in connection with the tragic death of Friend star Matthew Perry. Matthew Perry, of course, we know he passed away back in October. He's found unresponsive in his hot tub, leading to what they thought was suicide because, he had a ketamine addiction prior. But a lot of his friends and family and stuff like that said he'd been off of it. But so something had happened between, I think it was back in March, as they reopened it as an investigation. But like I said, the investigation had revealed the cause of death was the ketamine, but how it got there was like a question. So, yeah, but it says the levels in his system was not found consistent with his prescribed treatment. So this has been the led to the arrest of at least one doctor and several drug dealers who are believed to have supplied the actor with the drugs illegally. Oh, so it kind of like took a big switch because they were looking at I think they were looking at like somebody that was like associated with him. And I think at one time there was like the actor's wife and stuff like that was being questioned. The actor was being, there was a lot of crazy stuff going on with this case. But yeah, so has been officially ruled as an accident alongside trying another medical condition. Investigation into his death had been extensive, with law enforcement agencies working tirelessly to trace the origins of the ketamine found in his system. The arrest made in connection with his death is significant development, underscore potential criminal activity surrounding the illegal distribution of the powerful drug in the entertainment industry. So the case has drawn higher profiles, such as deaths of Mac Miller, Michael K. Williams, who also was involved, where individuals involved in supplying drugs were held accountable. The original issues raised. Man, this is crazy. Yeah, let's listen to what they.
There have been several arrests made in connection with the death of actor Matthew Perry. According to TMZ, at least one doctor and several dealers who helped arrange and deliver ketamine to Perry have been arrested. Perry died last October at the age of 54. An autopsy showed he had ketamine in his system at the time of his death.
So I guess they must have turned around and re-ruled it as an accident, because I know there for a while they opened it up as a homicide. But I don't know. That's crazy. I don't know too if you guys pay attention to a lot that goes on with what is going on with like I said, these are just some breaking stories that came up that, as I was getting ready to do this, I thought was kind of interesting. So a couple followed home from a Hard Rock casino, ambushed and shot after hitting jackpot. This date night and Seminole Hard Rock Casino turned a Riverview couple into a target of violent robberies. Let's see. Hillsborough County deputies arrested two men for following the couple home from the casino and ambushing them in the driveway, robbing and shooting both of them. And I'm sorry, I know there was a lot of controversy like with the Ring cameras and stuff like that, but the Ring cameras have like helped the police out a lot. I think there was something like Ring was not going to start releasing or was making the videos private now, because I guess there was like a website or something you could go to, or you could download. I don't know what was going on with that, but I know they kind of like privatized the servers or quit the servers. But the fact of the matter that, Ring cameras have come up with a lot of evidence for police when it comes to crimes in the area, crimes on the residents. This is a good example. I mean, these are ring camera or doorbell cameras. I'm not sure if it was Ring or not, but doorbell cameras that catches the whole thing. And so they ended up finding out who they were, Marcus Jenkins and Tristan Wright. God, these people. Life is, I mean, I'm sure this is I'm sure things probably haven't like changed a lot when it comes to like things. I think we're more aware of it now. You know, social media is running rapid. We have a lot of on the ground investigators now, you know, investigative journalists that, because they have the phone. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's great because I think it opens up the window to actually what goes on in society that we've been shut out for so many years. I mean, it's becoming, it becomes scary, but I'm glad he's okay. I'm glad he survived because, I mean, that could have went a whole different realm, a whole different route. Could you imagine though, going on a date night and coming home and then getting robbed at your front door? But it just goes like, you know, you got to be careful when you're leaving places like that. I mean, always watch your surroundings, especially if you know you won a lot of money, because there are lurkers in those casinos that watch these people that win that wins big money. You know, that's their whole. We have it up here because we have two major casinos up here. We have a Hard Rock and we have a local casino. And yeah, and I don't frequent them, but we went to a concert here a few weeks ago, and just walk in the casino waiting for the concert to open up. It's like, what you, I mean, I'm not trying to like profile anybody. It's just kind of weird because when you see casinos, you're used to like watching them on TV. You know, you see the people on TV, they're dressed up, everything else, but you go to these casinos, even some of the bigger ones, it's just like, you can tell people that live in casinos. It's crazy. They just live in casinos. They throw their money away. They hope to get, you know, the quick rich buck. I can't play casinos. I can't. I tried one time. I was scared to death. I put $20 down on a blackjack table and lost a couple of times and won my $20 back, and I said I was done. You know, I can't do that because I don't know if I can't trust myself to play, but there's a lot of crazy people at these casinos. Like I said, especially if they find out if they lost all their money and they're trying to recoup their losses by taking other people's money. Just be careful when you're out of these places because they do lurk in the background. Another breaking story that just came out I seen today was, and this is in Russia. I just had the link. Where did it go? Where did it go, George? Do. See if we can get this one to work. Here we go. Yep. Okay, this one here. This is it's actually an LA woman. She was detained in Russia she was arrested in Russia and charged and detained and charged for treason because she donated $51.80 to a Ukraine charity in the United States in 2022. In 2022. This is that's just crazy that they're that hardcore on finding everybody that
detained in Russia. Over the fate of a Los Angeles spa manager being detained in Russia, accused of treason. Ksenia Karolina, who has dual American-Russian citizenship, was in Russia visiting her grandmother.
She was arrested and charged after donating $50 to an American charity that supports Ukraine. KTLA's Chris Wolf joins us live from Sawtell, where he spoke with Carolina's boyfriend. Chris?
That's right, Sharon Micah. He is a former world champion welterweight boxer from South Africa who now calls Southern California his home. But this crisis may be the fight of his life.
I kept making silly jokes with her. Babe, enjoy these last few days because I'm never going to see you again. I just made silly jokes.
Chris Van Yarden says he uttered those words during a trip to Istanbul with his Russian-born girlfriend, Ksenia Karolina, to celebrate the new year. The South African boxer, a former world
this happened
champion
a few months ago,
welterweight,
but it's
is
just
a
crazy.
transplant in the Los Angeles area, as is Karolina. She holds dual citizenship, American and Russian. He will become a U.S. citizen soon. Following their holiday vacation in Turkey,
But the fact of the matter that you can be in trouble for donating to a Ukraine charity and be classified as treason. I guess it's because she has dual citizenship. She's still a citizen of the USSR or the Russia. I guess it's not the USSR anymore, but the conviction of the U.S. Russian woman has sparked significant debate on both domestic and international. Critics argue that the trial may have been influenced by political motivation, given the current strained relationship between Russia and Western countries. And I can see that happening. The woman's defense team is reportedly planning to appeal the verdict, citing concerns about the fairness of the legal proceedings. I mean, it's Russia. I mean, I understand they still have to follow certain rules, but it's Russia. What do you expect? You do that if they feel that you're hindering somebody they're fighting. Yeah, I can see that where they classify that as treason. The case adds to a growing list of espionage and treason charges that have been brought against individuals in Russia, reflecting heightened sensitivities around national security. So a good question is like, okay, so even though she has dual citizenship, are we gonna swap out again? Because I mean, she is a dual citizen. She has citizenship here in the United States. So, I mean, the fact of the matter, donating. I mean, I don't believe in a lot of things that are going on with the Ukraine right now. I don't believe that we should be. I mean, that's just my beliefs. I don't believe we should pull out right now because we're so in depth right now. But I think the whole thing with us supporting Ukraine as much as we are, there's a lot of different factors and stuff like that I feel is not being presented, which, it's a business transaction, and Russia's wanting to do it because it's a land grab. They want their land back. But the fact of the matter that you can go and think about it. So if you go over to these countries, I mean, right now you can't, I don't think you can travel to Russia like as easy as you used to be as a tourist. I wouldn't even want to go over there right now as a tourist. Not going to lie. But the idea of being a tourist, just going over there to see the sights or whatever, and the clear customs, and I'm sure they probably do background checks on every American that comes through there, like to the extent of this, to where she found out back in 2023 that she donated to a charity. That means that they're trying to find something. They're trying to find things to create chaos and havoc. So yeah, I would say it's probably politically motivated. So how's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's doing good. Thank you guys for joining in. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thank you guys. This is something new I've been trying to do. I've been trying to get into my head. I don't know why. I can talk with other people and have other people on and talk, but when it comes down to doing solo stuff, I have very hard time doing it. And so this is like breaking my wheel or my little box that I put myself in when I do videos and stuff like that. So hopefully I can do more of these. Like I said, it's kind of like once you get past the first one, you can do the rest of them. I know last night's conversation was kind of interesting. You know, if you guys don't know, we do a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday podcast at night at around 8 p.m. Eastern, where me and Gunn get together and talk about the craziness that happens in the world and everything else. He's a Canadian, I'm an American, so there are two different perspectives coming out on things. Sometimes we get on each other's nerves, but, you know, at the end of the day, we're still friends. But if you guys want to be a part of any of these conversations, if you guys want to be a guest and you want to talk about some of the cases we are and throw your opinions out, I am fully up for that as long as you can be as long as you can have a critical thinking atmosphere or a mindset when you come into these conversations. Like I said, gotta forgive me. I'm still learning the ropes on doing these solos. Another one I thought was kind of interesting. Like I said, what I did is I pull information off of Twitter and everything else that just pops up across my feed. But this one came across this morning too. I know this came out yesterday, but so we talk a lot about immigration. We talk a lot about what goes on and what the both candidates right now. Like I said, I'm you know, my personal opinions on the candidates, you know, with Trump and Harris is I feel Harris is a plant, and I feel that just for the fact of the matter is because there was no time. I think this was all planned out to get this point in there because they were wanting to get rid of Joe. They were wanting to get somebody else in there, but considering that he came in full force, that he was going to do it, and why the actual reason is why he dropped out because of his health or because he was forced out, you know, that's just speculation. It's what everybody's talking about. But the fact of the matter is there was never any Democratic primary to try to get anybody else on board. Wasn't even a chance. Nobody even started running against him because, you know, he was the incumbent. Nobody wanted to run against him. It's usually what happens when the incumbent president runs a lot of times. A lot of people from the same party won't run. They'll just let him run through. But they should have had some backup candidates. Should have gave the people a chance to choose instead of being forced to choose. That's my point. That's the only thing that bothers me with this election. Like I said, it's only the second one in history it's happened in 1968. You know, you had the Humphrey Nixon, LBJ dropped out in March. They didn't want to push anybody else. So they, you know, with McCarthy and everybody else, they pushed Humphrey to run as the DNC primary or DNC nominated candidate. Didn't give anybody else a chance to run. And you never know. I mean, if they gave somebody else a chance to run back in 1968, we'd have probably never had Nixon. You know, because Nixon wasn't very popular. You know, he said a lot of things that people wanted to do. He wanted out of Vietnam and everything else. But, you know, he was still not a very popular candidate. So, but there was a lot of tour, and it's kind of funny how, you know, going back to like the days of back then, researching those days and not me fully understanding because it wasn't a part of my history. So it's just like, I mean, it was a part of the U.S. history, but not part of what I would classify back growing up as history because we're never taught these kind of things, you know, we're never taught events like this in high school, you know, and those are groundbreaking events in high school that you could learn about how to critical think your way through into life, you know, growing up into political life and everything else. But yeah, the whole idea of 1968, you know, I knew the Civil War or the civil rights movement and all of that was going on. There was, you know, protests and everything else over civil rights. There was protests over Vietnam. You had a lot of protests going on, which when I read about that, it's just like, okay, it's just like, this is a reflection. What we're going through right now is a reflection of 1968, you know, except for the times have changed, or the terms have changed. You know, we still have conflicts. We have the conflict in Israel, the conflict between Israel and Palestine. We have the conflict of Ukraine and Russia. I mean, we're not directly involved like we were with Vietnam, but we are. So, and now, I mean, there was something that happened last night with, you know, a fundraiser event for Harris's campaign. You know, there was a pro-Palestine attack on their campaign location, on their fundraiser location. So, and now, you know, they're setting up for pro-Palestine protests during the DNC, you know, which starts on Monday. So, I mean, this is kind of reflecting 1968. You know, there's a lot of hard questions, and I think Trump, hopefully what I heard on the newscast or the feeds and everything else about him dumping his campaign management and getting new ones, hopefully he finds somebody that is able to connect with this generation, with these things we want to hear. We're tired of hearing the smear campaigns. I mean, we hear both sides. I mean, yeah, sometimes it's a little bit more on the Trump side than it is on Harris's side, but we still hear them. We see them in the papers, depending on where you look and everything else. The smear campaign shit needs to quit, in my opinion. I mean, we're not getting anywhere with the smear campaigns. People are tired of hearing that. We've heard it. We've heard it for the last 7.5 years. We're tired of hearing both sides. And I think I speak for pretty much everybody, because the conciseness of everybody I talk to says the same thing. They're tired of hearing the trash comments and stuff like that. We need to focus more on like things like this here. The fact of the matter is the border is not secured. You know, they just found out through a report there was nearly 100 potential terrorists that came through the border illegally that are on the terrorist watch list. I mean, they knew there was a bunch of them, but they have literally pinpointed down there's at least 100 of them they know for sure came into the country illegally. And with the border being open, and if you notice, if you look at a lot of the photos and a lot of the videos from the border when people go out there and film, it's not the ones that, it's not people that you think would be coming across. I mean, there is a lot of men only that are coming across. You don't see very many women. Very rarely do you see children. And they're coming from other countries, not from South America. They're coming from like Central America and coming from places over like all of the immigrants, like the ones that are like invading Ukraine and stuff, or Ukraine, the ones that are in the UK right now, the ones that they're having issues with in the UK. Those are the type of people that are coming across, you know, the cartel people, you know, now that we've got, I don't know what the whole, what they classify as terrorist activity to be put on this list, but it's still not good. And now with the WHO just coming out the other day, sitting there saying that the monkeypox, you know, a variation of the monkeypox is making its way throughout, you know, those countries over there. So those people are the ones that are coming in through the border, the southern border. You know, so this is the reason why we have border protection, is so that we don't, it's not that we're trying to be like racist or anything else, or, you know, trying to stifle anybody from doing it, but there are procedures, always has been procedures, you know, ever since they opened up Ellis Island back in the 1800s. There's a reason why, because of the mass fluctuation of people coming into this country. It has to be controlled. You have to make sure that, you know, if you go anywhere else, you still have to do the same thing. You have to go through checkpoints. You have to go through customs. You have to do everything else. And if you don't fit their criteria of coming into their country, they don't let you in their country. You know, well, I should say 90% of them, and that's the way it used to be until this whole border crisis situation came across. You know, all these refugees I can understand these war-torn countries, but we have to come up with something to create an environment. If we want to help, I think we should help create an environment in their country to try to help reestablish places in their country to, I mean, I understand it's kind of what people say we're trying to do with Ukraine, but Ukraine's a different beast. Ukraine is, we're protecting our interest in the nuclear power. We're protecting our interest in certain things over there. It's the military industrial complex is the reason why we're in Ukraine. The military industrial complex is the reason why we're in Israel for the most part, because we're protecting our interests over there with land, opportunity, and stability. Because if those countries fall, I can see it, you know, some of our overseas interests will be hurting. You know, it's just like the whole Iran-Iraq thing, you know, that was all about oil, you know, protecting the oil industry. Even though we have enough oil over here to last us 3 or 4 lifetimes, you know, shit just, I mean, shit doesn't make sense. And like I said, I don't know when it fell apart. I say back in the 60s or early 50s or late 50s, early 60s, I think is when the political machine started falling apart. I mean, I'm sure there's always been agendas, and I mean, I know there's always been agendas in certain things throughout the world, but the fact of the matter is that we got to do something. We got to bring this country back around, because it is not, it's falling quick. Like I said, I'm a firm believer in the 80-year cycle. If you guys don't know what that is, just Google it. The 80-year cycle. It kind of goes through 4 different phases. I believe we're in our last phase of the 80-year cycle, because if you look back, if you trace back history through the last 80 years, back to World War II, and then further back into that was the 80 years was the Civil War and things like that. And then it jumps back into, you know, other places. But if you look back, things kind of like have in the last 240 years would be 240 years, has kind of like a pattern, and we've fallen in those patterns. And I believe this is we're coming in our last 80-year block. It's like everybody says, you know, when they talk about it, it's not math, it's science, so it's not precise. I think this is our chaotic years. Hopefully it's almost over, because we've lived like the last 6 years in like total chaos, the last 5 years anyways in total chaos. So hopefully this is our coming of the moment where we can actually breathe coming up. You know, whether Harris can do it, whether Trump can do it, I don't know. The way they're acting right now, I don't think either one of them are capable of doing it. I'm going to be bluntly honest. I think, you know, I think Trump's got, you know, this is one thing that I feared with Trump coming back into play, is that he has the revenge. He's pissed off about, you know, he's trying to do the right thing. I give him that. He's trying to do the right thing, trying to be the good guy, trying to be the president, trying to be all about, you know, helping people out. I do believe that he's got that in him. Because anybody that goes through the shit that he's gone through just to be president, there's a little bit more morality at stake than just being the leader of the United States, you know. Because you've never seen any, I mean, I'm sorry, you haven't in history, you've never seen a president fight this hard, or somebody fight this hard to be president. And as much shit as he's gone through, they would have dropped out. And if he would have dropped out, I'm guaranteed everything would have disappeared. All his charges, everything would just vanish. They wouldn't push it. They wouldn't do anything, you know. But they've had a hard on for Trump ever since he got elected, because I don't think in the political machine of things in 2016, I do not think he was supposed to win. I really don't. When you get involved in this and you look deep dive into all the components of the political machine, and the, you know, looking at the whole new world order type situation, looking at, and I'm not trying to conspiracy-ize anything. I'm just sitting there saying, it's just like, I do believe there's greater powers that are beyond our control that are actually controlling what goes on in the world, whether it's the Vatican, whether it's, you know, the WHO, the WEF, any of those, there's still somebody that is pulling the strings for what is happening throughout the world. And it's just not one person, it's a group. You know, you've been classified the Bilderberg groups, you have, you know, the Rothschild groups, you have the Rockefeller groups, you have all those groups that have played something throughout history. I mean, if you look back in history, look at everything that's been played, it's always been influenced by big money. Because back in the 1800s, it was all about the oil barons. You had Rockefeller, you had Rothschilds, you had J.P. Morgan, you had all those that were ruling the country back then. You know, the robber barons, the oil barons, everything else. And we tend to forget that. And I think that people have, over the years, have just pushed that to the sides, and they're saying, "Oh, that's just history, no big deal." You know, because I go through that all the time. People's like, "Oh, that's history. That's history. That's boring." It is boring, but it's also needed to know. You need to know your history. You need to know where you come from to know where you're going. I've always had that philosophy. But you know, jumping back on this, sorry, I got a little rant. But back on this, the fact of the matter is that, okay, so Harris is still VP. She still has the power. She's still in charge, you know, with Biden, but she's still in charge. So she can do something about this. She can literally, as a VP, instead of promising, "Oh, once I get elected," she's holding she's holding people for ransom. She's holding her people for ransom by saying, "Once I get elected, if you elect me, I can do this." When in actuality, she can do it right now. She still has August, September, October, November, December. She still has 4 months she can do something. Even if she doesn't win the election, she can still do something within those 4 months. You know, so the fact of the matter is that they're not doing anything, and they're trying to lay blame on Trump's administration prior to where, you know, it was like we said last night. If you think about it, he only had 2 months in his initial presidency from 2016 to the end of 2019 that he was actually able to do anything. Because for the last year and a half of his presidency, he was dealing with the pandemic. He was dealing with everything else. You know, all of his negative stats that the media brings up and everybody else brings up is all due to a world event that was out of his control and was brought, I mean, whether it was brought on by the shadow government, the big state, the New World Order formation. I don't know if this was like, you know, a Larry Fink thing, or if it was a Charles Schwab thing, or a Charles Klaus thing. I don't know, you know, and we'll probably never know. Those kind of things, it's like they'll just disappear. We'll never know the actual truth, how it started, why it started, and everything else. We're going by what we've been told in media, what we've been told everywhere else. It's just the way shit goes, the way life goes. But the fact of the matter is, right now, she has the ability, and Biden has the ability to stop this. They can close down, they can reinstate the border protection that was there before they took office. It's like I said, the only reason all these executive orders were rescinded is it was a revenge tactic towards the Trump administration. That's the only thing is. The last 6 years has nothing, or the last 7.5 years has been nothing about revenge between both parties. Plain and simple. We've been playing high school games in politics, and shit is falling apart because of all the high school antics that have been going on. And all these lawsuits, all these congressional hearings, it's a waste of money because nobody ever does anything. You know, it's just like if Harris does get in, you know, they're already talking about filing articles of impeachment against her because of immigration and because of the border. You know, it doesn't work because all they know how to do is just flap their jaws, both sides. There is no legislative power anymore. It's just like, let's just keep the community at bay. Let's just let them know let's put in there what they want to hear. And nothing ever gets done. And it's really irritating. And I do believe that people, you know, like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of talk and not enough action. And I say that every time I see something on a post from one of these congressmen, oh, we're doing this. It's like, just shut up. Just do it. Just don't say it. Don't tell us what you're doing. Just freaking do it. Just stop telling us you're going to do something and just do it. And that's on both sides. Like I said, I'm not a red pill. I'm not a blue pill. You know, I don't take those kind of pills. It like I said, it just pisses me off that you got people, you know, like this, you know, Mayorkas, you know, everybody knows that he's the dude behind it, but they don't even there's no attempt to get him out of there. I mean, he's still an elected official. You can still get his butt out by using the powers of the people, but nobody will do it. I'm really just tired of hearing everybody complaining and all this and that, because nobody does anything. Nobody tries. I mean, you got people like, you know, you've got people like Moody, which is the Florida's Attorney General, that's coming up, and they're trying. These local governments and these local officials try harder than our own government paid $180,000, $200,000, $300,000 Congress people get paid to do this shit. And these people barely make $100,000 a year for doing all the stuff that they do. And you've got all these fat cats sitting in Washington that won't do nothing. All they want to do is talk. They want to, you know, have these $100,000 dinners and everything else and travel the country and blah, blah, blah. But they don't want to do nothing, you know. I think we do need more people like Matt Gaetz. I mean, even, I don't know. Like I said, they're all the same. Even Matt Gaetz is the same. I mean, I like his enthusiasm and his go get 'em attitude, but he still really doesn't get much done like the rest of them. So the fact of the matter that we've got all these suspected terrorists in the country now walking freely, nobody knows where they are. You know, it's just like the Iranian assassin that was supposed to come in. What was it, like 4 years ago? You know, there was an Iranian assassin. Supposedly they knew he was here. And they know they find him every once in a while, but they can't keep track of him. But they know he's here. They know he's still here in the country. But they can't pinpoint his location. Oh, bullshit. I think the country lets these people in for the main fact to continue to cause havoc and discontent and division within the country. It's the reason why, I mean, they need to just, well, I hope that people, and like I said, this year I'm actually gonna start voting for the local elections and stuff like that. And I think it's too late. I didn't get registered in time to vote for the federal election, but I am going to start voting for getting some of these old asses out of these places that they don't need to be in. I mean, like I said, my one vote, but you know, and it just depends. Whoever I vote for depends on what they're going to do for the country, what they're going to do for the local, what they're going to do for the state, things like that. But like I said, I'm not red pilled, I'm not blue pilled, so it will be whoever I feel will be the best person for the job. And that's the way it should be. It shouldn't be because you were grown up, you were raised to be Democrat, you were raised to be Republican, you were raised to be Libertarian. That should not be the way that you vote. You should vote the way that you feel. Because just because you're registered as one party doesn't mean that you have to vote that party. You can vote other parties. Yeah, because I mean, I think back when I did vote, you know, I voted Republican for the presidential, and I think I voted a couple of Democratic candidates in for our local elections because of the fact of the matter, they had better policies, they had better talking points than the Republican Party did, you know? So, but the fact of the matter that we still have, you know, more than 250 aliens on the terrorist watch list, and they know for sure that there's at least 99 of them that are here. That's unacceptable. You know, this all could have been prevented. Like I said, they need to shut it down now she needs to do something as the vice president. And whether she's the border czar or not, there has been a lot of videos that Biden has put her in charge of the border. So if you want to classify that as the border czar, she's the border czar. But there is video proof out there that he put her in charge of the border. And it is her responsibility. And she never went to she's only been to the border one time. Never goes and does anything. You all want to elect her as president of the United States when she can't even do one simple job that she was tasked to do? And you want her in charge of all of us? Y'all lost your mind. But right now, like I said, with her sitting there saying, "Oh, I will do this if you elect me," no, that's holding her constituents and her people hostage. She's holding you hostage. She's ransoming you. She's like, if I'm not going to do it unless you vote me in, you know, that's when she has the power right now to do it. She's holding you for hostage. And that's the way that I think her campaign and her presidency will run if she becomes president. I think she will hold everybody hostage for their vote when it comes to things. It's just the way I see it. The way she's presenting herself, the real her is coming out now. And I think that's what people need to look at. That she's basically putting her voters and her constituents up for hostages by saying those words. Life. Gotta love it. I appreciate you guys coming in. If you guys have not joined, make sure you guys go over and join the locals. I put the copy and paste link in the chat. I don't know why this says track Rumble click video. I don't know. But anyways, if you copy and paste that, just go to locals.com and search The Nation, you'll be able to find us. Join us over there. Like $5 a month, but we're going to start doing some offline content. We're going to be doing some offline streams or off platform streams and stuff like that. And one of a kind merchandise items and things like that will only be able to be found over there. So like I said, I think it's set up for, I think you can join for like $1.99 a month right now. But anything helps me continue to do this and be able to have the time to not have to work for the man and bring you information like this on a different way of looking at things. And also make sure you join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern here on X and on Rumble, and sometimes on YouTube, depending on the content, where me and Gunny get together and we talk about different events that's happened. Friday or Sunday nights too. Join us on Sunday nights because we kind of like threw in a true crime night. We look at true crimes throughout the past and kind of like look into how they were solved, what they were, if they were solved, and just bring the chaos to a whole different world, a whole different level. But also, if you guys are on Rumble, make sure you hit that follow button and help this channel grow. I appreciate that. And share it out with your friends here on X. If you guys are not following me on X, please do. Please do. But yeah, so that's my take on the immigration policy and everything else. The fact of the matter that we've got 99 confirmed people on the terrorist watch list is just that's an unacceptable number. One is an unacceptable number. Oh my gosh. People just will not leave Trump alone. People will not leave Trump alone. The mayor of Palm Beach, if I can find it. Yeah, here we go. The mayor of Palm Beach. She has been Lordy. So Palm Beach considers closing Mar-a-Lago in response to the road closure. Okay, so if you guys don't know what this whole issue is and this whole catastrophe is right now, is because there's a side road, like a major side road, and a lot of traffic and everything else. But after the assassination attempt and a couple of the break-ins, there was one guy, one China national citizen that was trying to break into Mar-a-Lago a few times. I think he actually got in the last time. So they closed down like the major expressway type road right in front of Mar-a-Lago. If you guys don't know what Mar-a-Lago is, it was a resort created, I think it was either by the Post family or the Kellogg's family, I can't remember. But anyways, I think it was Post. I think Post, the lady that was in charge of Post cereals back in the day, built this as her residence and a resort type thing. And over the years, it was held like for presidential outings, kind of like Camp David type thing. And then, I think back in the early 90s or late 90s, Trump bought it, and that's where he lives, Mar-a-Lago. It's a club resort type thing, but he lives there because he owns it, because he can. But so anyways, the mayor Danielle Moore says that in the town council meeting on Tuesday, there is no way in God's green earth that they can bring 350 people into that club. It's completely illogic. And if they got the road closed, then you're going to have 300 people, 300, you're going to let 350 strangers into your club. So I guess there's an event or whatever going on that they're kind of irritated about. But the two things, the opposite of what they attempt to do, and you have it both ways. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so they closed down. So after the July 13th assassination attempt and the couple of Chinese national citizens that tried to break in, they closed down the road that goes right by it. Supposedly it's causing a lot of traffic backups and a lot of traffic, and I don't think there's a lot of people that, I don't think there's a lot of people that are actually complaining about it. I think it's just, if you've ever been like in a HOA, and plus you got to realize Palm Beach, it's where all the rich snowbirds, as they call them, and stuff like that go. But I do believe he's brought a lot of revenue to that town, being the celebrity that he is, in other terms, being, the former vice president or the former president. He's brought a lot of attention to Palm Beach, which I'm sure in turn brings a lot of people to that club, which in turn brings a lot of economy into Palm Beach. And they're I don't know. Supposedly, the elite got together in Palm Beach, sat there and said that they didn't feel safe about him being there because of that, because of everybody coming in, because of Secret. I mean, why would you not feel safe? If you had Secret Service in your neighborhood, if you had the Secret Service detail in your neighborhood 24/7, would you not feel safe? Just asking. I think I would. So point. But it says in my mind, as the road closed, the Mar-a-Lago club is closed. Daniel Moore said in the council meeting Tuesday, there's no way on God's green earth that they can bring 350 people into a club. It's completely illogic that you got the road closed and then you're going to let 350 strangers into your club. However, you cannot have it both ways, boys and girls. Either the club is open or it's not. I mean, it is a private club. It's his residence. I mean, unless there's like stipulation in the charter for Palm Springs, I'm pretty sure that he can do just about anything he wants to with this property. If he wants to close it, I mean, it's a private club. It's not a public club. It's a private club. So if he wants to close it down to only allow so many people in there, that's his choice, right? I mean, for the next few months, I mean, we still live in a free society for the most part. Oh, people are crazy. It says the events the club hosts rakes in the money, and Trump enjoys getting feted by the right and far right when it comes to singing his praises, sometimes literally. And I can believe that. He likes his attention. But the fact is that they're trying to. I don't know how they would do it. I mean, I guess they could probably, every community and stuff like that has that whole thing about, what is it? Eminent domain, to where they can take your property and do whatever they want to in the good of the community. I'm sure they could probably try to do that, but I have a feeling that they would lose, and they would probably lose big. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. All right. So another big thing, and then we'll close out for today. I don't know if you guys seen that Trump has agreed to a debate with Harris. Harris has agreed to a debate with Trump. Trying to find the article that's not behind a paywall. There we go. So, this chick right here. ABC News presidential debate under the spotlight after Disney co-chair and longtime friend of Kamala Harris is going to be the moderator for the debate. I'm sorry if you don't see that as a setup and a coincidence. I'm just sorry. Dana Walden, co-chair of the entertainment giant, like I said, she's in charge of the news for ABC, but she's also works for Disney, and she's also a longtime friend of Kamala's. You know, to the point to where she's like credits her for getting her and her husband together, type long time friend. The debate's supposed to take place on ABC News between Donald Trump and Vice President Harris and is in the spotlight. The reason close friendship that exists between one of the co-chairs of the Walt Disney Corporation, Dana Walden, and the Democrat has been revealed this week before the debate is set to take place. Walden is just not another co-chairman. She is in charge of ABC News and the company's other TV channels as well as its streaming platform. It is one of the leading names to replace Bob Iger when the CEO is ready to retire. So she is up for the big kahuna seat when this is all over with, when Iger retires in ABC. And if you don't follow like James O'Keefe and stuff like that, you know, James O'Keefe just called out the Disney CEO or Disney executives for basically discriminating against white people because they were only hiring minorities under their DEI policy. The dude flat out sat there and said, "We're not hiring white people." You know, that's why DEI is, in my eyes, is racist. If you want to classify the term racist, that would be a good way to present it. And companies that use DEI for that matter. I mean, it's kind of funny. Like DEI was even dropped by Fink. Fink sat there and said that he was not even backing it anymore because it's not being used correctly. That's crazy. The dude that created it doesn't even want to use it because it's not being used correctly. He's not pushing it anymore. But the companies are already invested, you know. The states are already invested. The states give you money. The states people think I'm crazy. It's like, no, if you're in a business, you get kickbacks for hiring minorities. You get kickbacks for doing certain things with minorities. You get kickbacks. You get tax breaks. But back on this here. So the New York Times revealed the existence of this relationship. Is reported the relationship between two respective husbands, Matt Walden and Doug Emhoff, dates back to even 1980. I'd like to find out. I would really love to find out if those names, like everybody's asking about Trump and Epstein, I would like to find out if those names are on the Epstein list. Come on, people. Let's look to see if any of those guys are on the Epstein list. In fact, the newspaper began to extensively investigate, uncovered that Walden had collaborated in several Harris campaigns between 2003 and 2022, even helping to organize them. So it's a conflict of interest. She shouldn't be able to moderate the debate, plain and simple. Just for the fact because there is a strong tie, and she shouldn't be able to moderate the debate. I mean, how clear cut can that be? But the relationship goes even further, according to Harris. Walden, among other architects of her marriage to Doug. Quote from Harris: "In many ways, Dana and Matt are responsible for my marriage." So yeah. And I'm kind of wondering if this is like a ploy to get to Trump to say, no, screw that. It's going to be rigged. I'm backing out. I guarantee that's probably what it is. It's probably a ploy to sit there and say it to get Trump to back out. But it's the reason why I think if you're going to do a debate, it should be on a neutral ground. It shouldn't be any. It should be any media source. None whatsoever. No media organization whatsoever should run a debate, because the way media runs now, they can't be trusted to be honest and truthful. So no, I'm fully into no media hosting a debate. It should be run by an independent think tank or an independent agency. And no, not the Heritage Foundation, because the Heritage Foundation is not independent. It is a conservative. But I think it needs to be, I think Joe Rogan would be a good moderator. I really do. I think Joe Rogan would be a good moderator for a debate. I mean, there's a lot of people out there I think would probably be good. But I mean, off the top of my head, I think Joe Rogan. Let him be the moderator. If they want to hold it at ABC News, fine, but let him be the moderator. Why not? What do you got to lose? I mean, he's both come out, sit there and said positive things about all three candidates. He's pretty much like labeled himself as unbiased and neutral. Which, I mean, technically, as a podcast host, unless that's just like your total thing, if that's what you go totally after. But if you want to hit all realms of things and make it actually acceptable to everybody involved in it, you have to be pretty much neutral. You have your own opinions and your own ideas, but, it's like I said, I don't lean left or right. I talk about the stupid shit Trump says. I talk about the stupid shit Bill Harris does. I'm sorry, right now, the crap out in the media and what's being presented and what's being investigated leans heavily towards the corruption of the Harris campaign. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I think Joe Rogan. What do y'all think? Let me know. I think Joe Rogan would be a good moderator. Joe, if you're listening, why not? Why not do it? Why not? But the fact of the matter, this in my eyes, and anybody with any form of common sense on both sides of the aisle would realize that this is a conflict of interest. The fact of the matter that this was even suggested. I understand why it was suggested, because it benefits Kamala, because they're going to be easy on her. And she'll be more comfortable, but you're a president. You're a presidential candidate. And you shouldn't be in a safe space. You shouldn't be in a comfortable position. Because once you get in that big seat, you're not going to have a safe space. You're not going to have your little safe, warm, fuzzy blanket to cover up with. You're going to be exposed to the world. That's the reason why, even if she does get elected, I don't think she will be in. She will make mistakes to the point because she hasn't proven anything. She doesn't have a proven track record of being a leader. She doesn't have a proven track record. And I think as a president, you need to have at least something of a proven track record of being some form of a leader in worldly events. And so far, her track record is not very good. Trump is getting to the point now to where he needs to quit spewing all the rhetoric and everything else and get on board and start doing his deal if he's going to win. But because right now, like I said, people are just tired of listening to it. People are tired of listening to the trash talk. People are tired of listening to, calling each other names like weird and, the different names he's come up with, Kamala. Everybody's tired of hearing that stuff. I would be interested, though. You guys see, I'm sure you've seen it on Twitter too, that, Waltz has agreed to a debate. Everybody's criticizing Vance because he hasn't agreed, but I understand. You've got to vet what's going to happen, especially in a volatile situation like is going on right now, because of all the name calling, all the trash talk, everything else. You want to make sure that you're on an even battleground. I mean, the days of the debates, like back in the, during the, I mean, even like with Nixon and Humphrey, when they went after it, they didn't even debate. They did a one-on-one sit-down conversation, I think the night before the election. That was the only time that you heard them to debate their policies. I mean, you heard them with their rallies and stuff like that, but they didn't have an actual debate until the night before the election. So, and it wasn't even a debate. It was more of just a conversation, just talking about what was going on. There was no arguments. There was no, I mean, even the JFK, if you look back at the debates of history, I mean, even with Reagan, with Reagan and Mondale, there was a little bit of comedic gesturing between them both. But the fact of the matter is that they didn't like totally trash each other. I don't even know when did the trash talking start? Did the trash talking start like with Bush and Kerry? Is that when when trash talking really started in the political realm of things? Or because I mean, and was it the presidents that did it, or was it the candidates that did it, or was it media that created the trash talk? It's a good thing to look into. Give me something else to do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you guys doing this. Thank you, time for taking your coffee break out. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern for a little bit of more coffee break and see what goes on. But other than that, join us also on, like I said, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday nights here on X and on Rumble. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we talk about Monday and Wednesday, we talk about the political events and that's happening. Friday nights, we kind of lighten the mood up and talk about random stuff and random conversations. Sunday night's true crime night. We bring up some stuff. So we'll try to give you guys a multitude of different things to watch. So I hope you guys join us. Like I said, thanks a lot. And we'll see you guys all soon. Where'd the card go? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Twitter feeds a garbage fire, and the cycle fueling liars. Typing warriors, spouting hot air.